Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Another great interview set up for you here on ysnlive.com. DJ Yoakley with you. And it isn't every day that we get someone so talented, someone so humble, someone with so much potential, yet is already realizing it at the ripe old age of 9 years old. You know Brian Tolnar. You know Brian Tolnar very well from here on YSN, from Mill Creek Golf Course, and of course, from everything else that you see him out there doing. And I hate to break it to all of you folks that think that you're going to get one over on the Tolnars at some point in golf, because the next generation of golfers are coming up and they're being led by Preston Tolnar. Again, 9 years old, only in the fourth grade at Canfield. And I'll tell you what, he's joining us and he's got some incredibly big news. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe for the first time here on YSN, Preston Tolnar. And Brian Tolnar. We'll give you the claps too. We'll be excited. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me here. So exciting. I know you've got a lot of excitement going on this weekend. Preston, we'll start with you. Buddy, when you think about, I mean, you told me right before we got on the air that you started golfing at 2 years old. You already have more experience in golf than I do in my entire life, and I'm 39. So for you to have an opportunity, and we'll get to that opportunity here in just a minute, but to have an opportunity 7 years into golf, to do big things, what does that mean to you?
It feels really good. I mean, to get to Augusta National for drive, chip, and putt, it feels very awesome.
Okay, so that's exactly where we were going. Perfect segue, as we call it in the business. Brian, Dad, he's going to Augusta. The family's going with him for the most part. Why are we going to Augusta? The drive, chip, and putt. What is that all about? Can you break it down for those of us who have no understanding and comprehension of what is in the world is going on?
Sure. Drive, chip, and putt about 10 years ago was instituted by three entities of golf, very important to golf: PGA of America, the United States Golf Association, as well as the Augusta National Golf Club, who's the host venue for the drive, chip, and putt finals. How it works is very similar to, punt, pass, and kick, drive, dribble, and shoot, stuff that we did as kids. They basically made that a segue to getting kids interested in the game of golf. So, you have three stages of qualifying. You do a local qualifier, you do a sub-regional, and a regional. In each step, they keep losing more kids, and they try to get the best 10 kids at the end of the day, at the end of the cycle that basically goes from spring all the way through the end of fall. And then with the 10 in each age division, they have 10 boys from 7 to 9. They go 10 to 12, 13 to 15, and 16 to 18. So you have these divisions for both boys and girls, with the 10 finalists appearing at Augusta National to see who the winner is of the final 10 that are left standing. So had the opportunity to host one of these a number of years while I was up in New York. And obviously we're a local qualifier at Mill Creek, so it's special to be able to see your kid participate at home in the first stage of it as you go. But it's a great focal point for growing the game of golf, getting youth interested in the game of golf, and what the three governing bodies have put together is nothing short of spectacular.
Preston, for you, I mean, this has to be obviously an honor. Maybe you're too young to realize how great of an honor this is, but you've put in a lot of work. Can you talk to me how long and when you practice? And obviously you go to school every day too. So, for you, when do you get to kind of ramp up your game a little bit? When do you practice?
I practice right after school. I go home, work hard, with doing my schoolwork, and then I go to Mill Creek if it's nice outside. I get to chip and maybe play 9 holes or 18. And then when it's not too nice outside, knowing in Ohio it's not the best outside every time, so I would be in the simulators like at Mill Creek.
The brand new simulators at Mill Creek, by the way, which are absolutely wonderful. And I've heard a little birdie told me, Preston, that it's hard to get you away from the golf course. So for you, what keeps you out there? What bug bit you early on, so to speak, that you really fell in love with golf? What made you really fall in love with the game of golf?
Probably my dad showing me how to hit a golf ball when he had his 8-iron for the first time, because that's my favorite club in the bag.
The 8-iron. Okay, so we're speaking the same language. I named mine Albert Bell after the great Indians baseball player, and of course, because he plays baseball and not golf, I probably hit it more like Albert Bell than I would probably a professional like you. With what you do, you told me before we got on the air, you love driving, you love chipping, but that leaves that one element of the drive, chip, and putt contest that I mean everybody's still searching for, and that's the putting. What do you find most challenging, and what do you find most rewarding, Preston, about the putting aspect of your game?
Probably like the speed and the aim, because you have to have it perfect, and if you don't have your putting, it could be not too good. So that's why I have to have putting.
Brian, from a standpoint of breaking things down, so drive, chip, putt, easy to say, and obviously we all know what they mean, but like, how does it break down? Like, you just put one on the tee and drive it, and it's the best out of three, or how does that work for the driving? How does it work for the chipping? And how do they do the putting?
Well, it's a little bit different when you go to the national level. The 3 stages of qualifying, the local, the sub-regional, and regional, every player in the field gets 3 opportunities to hit 3 drives, 3 chips, and 3 putts, usually in that order. So basically what they do is they grid the driving range off, and your distance and your accuracy, because you have to hit it in a 40-yard wide grid, is basically gaining points every time. So when you're at the local, you want to get 3 drives on the grid because you're going to gain the most points. When you go into the chipping, there's circles around that go from, I believe, 2 feet all the way out to 8 feet in each 1 foot increment or 2 foot increment, depending upon where they're at, gives you X amount of points. So if you knock it 2 feet, you get 20 points. If you knock it in the hole, you get 25 points. So you're gaining all these points along the way. And then you finish up with putting. And at the local, regional, and sub-regional, you're always doing a 6-footer, a 15-footer, and a 30-footer, getting points in those circles based on basically playing like a dartboard. They're worth different values. The closer to the center, the greater value that you get. The closer your putts are, the better your chips are, and the more accurate your drives are, you're gaining points along the way. When you go to nationals, and we just learned about it last night because we had the parents' orientation meeting via Zoom, is you get 2 drives, you get 2 chips, and you get 2 putts. You start off with chipping, and it basically is the total of your 2 chips. So if you hit the first chip 2 feet and the second chip 4 feet, you get a total of 6 feet for your points distribution. And since there's only 10 kids, the shortest amount of feet, so say the 6-footer ends up winning, they get 10 points. And the 7-footer comes in second, they get 9, all the way down to 1 from 1 to 10 based on the 10 players in the field. They do the same thing with putting, but they only do 2 putts. They do a 30-footer first and a 15-footer to finish up, and you get points based on your total yardage in those 2. The driving component is very different. You only get 2 drives, and they're only counting 1 drive, and it's the longest drive of the 10 kids and the 10 competitors in there. So if you hit a drive that's 180 yards and you're the longest drive of the group, you get that 10 points. So traditionally, like 21 will get you into playoff, 22 points will win it outright. Anything north of like 22, 23 points is pretty much going to be a lock. And it's where you want to be. You want to be consistent. If you're in the top 3 of each category, you have a shot of winning the overall because you gain the most amount of points. So, you want to be accurate on your drives, but you want to hit the longest one to gain that 10 points. But 8, 9, or 10, if you get, like I told Preston in practicing, if you get 3 8s, you're at 24, and 24 is going to get you the overall when it's all said and done based on history there. Now, like I said, 21 points and 22 is usually about where the winners are at. Occasionally in the older divisions, someone goes crazy and gets 26, 27, but for his age division of 7 to 9, if you're north of 21 points, you're in really good shape.
So it's cumulative over the 3
Correct.
different. Okay, so it's not like you're going to win 2 out of 3. It's like one whole thing, and everything
Correct.
adds points wise. Okay,
yep.
Now I
understand.
understand.
So if you won first place in each category, you would get 10, 10, and 10. You get a perfect 30. No one's going to catch you.
Preston, we know you're going to get a perfect 30. So don't sweat that stuff. We know you're from Grit City. That's what we do. And you're going to put us back on the map. Speaking of Preston, who's your favorite golfer? Who do you idolize in the golf realm right now and kind of watch on Thursday through Sunday?
Phil Mickelson as much as I can, because in my opinion he has the best short game, and some people state as a fact he has the best short game, and he's a 4 times master champion.
Okay, so you're kicking it old school with that. So what that tells me is Dad has the remote during the weekend. What do you for you? I mean, do you look at different, when you're watching golf? You probably don't watch golf the same way that a schlub like me watches golf, Preston. What are you watching for? Are you excuse me, are you looking for technique? Are you looking for are you watching for entertainment at all? What do you watch golf when you watch golf on TV? What are you watching for exactly?
I'm watching for how their short game and around their greens are, because when they putt, it makes me try to putt harder. So I get around the hole, because putting is probably the hardest thing in golf.
Well, it doesn't get any easier. I think your dad can attest to that. Guys like him, that it's always been easy, and guys like you that'll always be easy, and you'll make us do the other stuff they do on a golf course, which is usually throw our clubs or want to quit. So we appreciate guys like you, Preston. Let's flip over to school. You go to Canfield. Talk to me about what you enjoy most about school. I heard you get great grades from that standpoint. So how do you balance it all?
I study, like I said earlier, before I play, and my favorite subject is science and social studies, and also math.
Okay, science, social studies, and also math. So that's 3 out of like 4 different. So who are your teachers that you can shout out and give them a plug for being able to help educate you?
This year, for 4th grade, I have Miss Snyder and Mrs. Benson. And in 3rd grade, I had Mrs. Mikulich, 2nd grade, Mrs. Maurer, 1st grade, Mrs. Bruno, and in kindergarten, Mrs. Cochran.
Okay, so most 4th graders, when I ask them what their favorite subject is, they usually immediately say lunch. So I'm proud of you on that perspective, or recess or anything like that. So what do you do with friends? I mean, I know you got a lot of buddies out there. You're sacrificing a lot of time with them, and obviously a lot of time that you have free time to just hang out. What do you like about just being 9 years old? What do you do for fun?
I get to, like you said, play with my friends and have a lot of fun with them. Maybe play golf or basketball with them, and every once in a while football.
Dad said you're a big hooper. All right. So talk to me about when you're ranking, because you're going to be a multi-sport athlete, right? What exactly is that? I'm going to guess golf's number 1. What does the rest of that list look like?
Probably number 1 golf, like you said, 2 basketball, and 3 football.
Football. What position in football?
You can answer that, Dad.
Well, on defense, safety, and cornerback, and wide receiver when it came to flag football. Nice. So very active, a lot of running.
I was just going to ask you, Dad, how do you hold up? I mean, you're a busy man already, and then you add to it. I mean, your lovely wife probably part of this equation, no?
Amber certainly does a lot. His mom's very involved with, the education side, being a teacher and making sure that, the grades are number 1 before you do any sporting activity. She's on the bag with him all summer long when I can't caddy. I try to do the spring and the fall as much as I can when we're playing some tournaments and stuff, but she has the lion's share of the summer stuff, and mom's always there. She's always feeding them 3 meals. Sometimes it seems like 5 meals a day. It's an endless pit over here, but, always running him to tournaments, whether it be to Cleveland, to Columbus, to Toledo, to all over the state. We do some regionals. She's phenomenal with traveling with us and, making sure he's eating right, because you have to eat the right things. You try to eliminate the sugars, and you want to be more proteins and stuff like that. So making sure that when we go to tournaments, he's always doing what you need to do to make sure he's sharp. So, we got the opportunity to go to U.S. Kid Worlds last year at Pinehurst. This will be our third year. We're qualified again this year. We do a tournament in North Carolina. We did a couple in South Carolina. So it's fun to be able to travel as a family, and it's fun to be on the bag, to have inside the ropes access to watch some great young golfers all around the world play, and, to watch your son compete, I think is phenomenal. And I'm just more of a fan and more of a parent than teaching him the golf swing. He works with a guy named Jim Wise. I try to, help out and coach him along the way, where and when I can. But, I learned something a long time ago. You don't teach your wife and you don't teach your kids. You send that out, and they seem to be more on the same page, and then dad just reinforces it.
I'm going to have to remember that. You don't teach your wife, you don't teach your kids. So let's start with you, B. What do you want to see out of this weekend? I mean, obviously you want him to capture memories that, not many, if any, will have from around this area. What things do you want him to make sure that he kind of puts in his golf bag other than his clubs?
Well, I think first and foremost, and it's, been something since day one, number one, have fun. He's very competitive, likes to compete. Like we've discussed before, when you're out playing, he wants to beat you by 5, not just beat you by 1. He wants to beat you by 10 if he can. Making the game fun, having the opportunity to spend time. Our entire family's going down to watch him down in Augusta. They're going to Hilton Head, making the commute over to see him. We've got as many family members as we could get in with the ticket access that we had with him. And like I said, Amber will be inside the ropes. I'll be on the bag this week or next weekend, getting ready to go. And then, just seeing him compete and have fun. I told him at the end of the day, you're always going to have a top 10 finish at Augusta. Not too many people can say that. And where can you say that you are one of the 10 finalists in your age division? I think that's special. And to be able to go to Augusta, I mean, the memories and the things that have been there historically in the past with the players that have won, the people that have walked off hole 18 where he's going to putt. I think that's, super cool, just making it fun and, taking in everything from, the kids will get there on Saturday to practice a little bit. They'll take in some of the girls' invitational. You're there competing on Sunday. They have some stuff for you Sunday evening. You're going to eat in the clubhouse, which nobody has access to that clubhouse. And then to have the opportunity to come back on Monday and be around the players while they're there for their practice round and have inside the ropes access to that, I think is phenomenal.
And Preston, I hear that you might have a chance to meet some of the players. Who would you want to meet if you could?
I want to meet Phil Mickelson, number 1, second Scotty Scheffler, and John Rahm, 3rd.
Very cool. Very cool. And
I do
finally,
have a lot more.
Oh, listen, you're a student of the game, young man. I love it. I love that you're trying to gain knowledge from anybody that has kind of walked this road that you're on right now. One more question for you. What are you looking forward to most out of this coming weekend in Augusta?
The most thing I'm looking forward to is getting to the 18th green and knowing that somebody on the PGA Tour, LPGA, the Live Tour, will walk off that green winning, and knowing that I'll be on that green.
And I hope it's you someday, young man. I hope it's you. We are rooting for you more than you will ever understand. You are my hero, young man. Go out and deliver. Have a great time. We're so proud of you here back home, and we'll be rooting for you. You'll have to come back on and tell us how you went. And, of course, your dad will be bragging you up, I'm sure, along the way. Tolnars, thank you so much for joining me. Best of luck to you guys. And again, do it for Youngstown. We're proud of you.
We're going to try.